Stagflation, simultaneous high inflation and slow or negative growth, has been documented for times in the modern economic record. The sequence each time is similar. This is an archive of documented episodes. No predictions, no tickers, the historical record as it stands. Chapter 1. 1917 to 1921. The post-war stagflationary period. The First World War left the major Allied economies with expanded money supplies, disrupted trade networks, and debt burdens that peacetime revenue could not quickly retire. Britain, France, and the United States all experienced rapid post-war inflation as wartime price controls were lifted and demand recovered faster than supply. In the United States, wholesale prices rose 84% between 1915 and 1920. The Federal Reserve raised rates sharply. A severe recession followed. The recession of 1920 to 21 produced rapid price deflation, a 56% decline in wholesale prices in 18 months, and double-digit unemployment. The period illustrates the first documented sequence: wartime fiscal expansion followed by post-war inflation, followed by sharp monetary tightening, followed by contraction. Chapter 2. 1973 to 1975. The first oil shock. In October 1973, the Arab members of OPEC imposed an oil embargo on nations that had supported Israel in the Yom Kippur War. The price of crude oil quadrupled in 4 months, from approximately $3 per barrel to $12. The supply shock hit every oil-importing economy simultaneously. In the United States, the consumer price index reached 11% in 1974 while real GDP contracted. Unemployment rose to 9% by mid-1975. The United Kingdom experienced even sharper stagflation. Inflation reached 24% in 1975 while the economy contracted. The dominant economic models of the time had not anticipated stagflation. The Phillips curve, which suggested inflation and unemployment moved in opposite directions, failed to explain the data. Chapter 3. 1979 to 1982. The second oil shock. The Iranian Revolution of 1979 and the subsequent Iran-Iraq War removed approximately 4 million barrels per day from world markets. Crude oil doubled again, from around $13 to over $35 per barrel between 1978 and 1980. US CPI peaked at 14.8% in March 1980. Federal Reserve Chairman Paul Volcker raised the federal funds rate to 20%, the highest in Federal Reserve history. The Volcker shock ended the inflation. It also produced the deepest recession since the 1930s. U.S. unemployment reached 10.8% in November 1982. The documented outcome of deliberate monetary tightening on embedded inflation, effective, but with a lagged and severe real economy cost. Chapter 4. 1989 to 1992. The UK Lawson boom and the ERM. British Chancellor Nigel Lawson pursued tax cuts and credit expansion in the mid-1980s, producing rapid growth, rising asset prices, and low unemployment, the Lawson boom. Inflation re-emerged. The UK joined the European exchange rate mechanism in October 1990 at a rate most economists considered too high, forcing elevated interest rates to defend the peg. Inflation remained above 5% while GDP contracted in 1991. The recession cost over 300,000 jobs in manufacturing alone. On the 16th of September 1992, Black Wednesday, the pound was forced out of the ERM. The UK devalued. Inflation fell rapidly thereafter. Chapter 5. The common sequence. For episodes: 1917, 1973, 1979, 1989. Across different economies, different triggers, different policy regimes. In each episode, the documented sequence begins with a supply shock or embedded inflation meeting slowing growth. Standard policy tools proved inadequate or produced direct trade-offs. Monetary tightening that addressed inflation typically accelerated the contraction. Monetary easing that addressed the contraction typically re-accelerated inflation. policymakers faced a documented trade-off with no clean resolution. This is what the historical record shows. The archive stays open.